Hi, if you have clicked on this video, you are probably curious on what I think about AI as 23 years old. I am Shahir. I currently am a student at a master's course in finance, and I am also working at an M&A boutique advisory firm, which is in, of course, financial services, if you don't know. It's 2026. I'm recording this, and probably I will be looking back at it 10 or 20 years from now. And the topic which I wanted to address is the rise of artificial intelligence and how artificial intelligence is changing the way we do things. This is one of those moments in history where a new technology comes into the picture. A lot of people are left behind, and a lot of people are early adopters of the technology, and they make a lot of cool things. In general, let's start with the basics. In 2022, there was a launch of this chatbot called ChatGPT by a company called OpenAI, which lets you do a lot of things much faster than what Google would do. You can chat to this interface and get answers much quickly than browsing through your search results. That was the start of it all. That's when artificial intelligence started. A lot of people were not paying attention to it, but this thing kept growing faster and more massive as time went by, and then more and more people jumped on using ChatGPT, talking to this chat interface, and getting answers to their questions much faster without the hassle of going through the search results. That was the start of AI as we know it, the modern AI, because artificial intelligence has been around for decades, since 1980s and 1990s, when there were books published on machine learnings, neural natural language processing, large language models, everything that is synonymous to AI as we know it today in 2026. So that was the start in November 2022. At that time, I knew something like ChatGPT existed. I probably started using it already in November 2022 or around January 2023. Uh, Fast forward to today in 2026, there have been a lot more developments. We have chatbots, but we also have coding agents that do the coding for you. Software development has changed massively. You no longer need to write code from scratch because AI agents are doing it for you, like Claude Cowork or Replit or Lovable. Throughout 2024 and 2025, vibe coding became a big thing. So, as a 23-year-old now, when things have changed more in the AI world, not just a chatbot and coding agents, but now AI can actually take control of your computer and do the tasks for you. You can give it an instruction and it does everything for you. For instance, order your groceries and put the groceries in your shopping cart in whatever platform you use to shop your groceries, or to create presentations for you, or some AI agents that can act as employees for your startups. You need leaner companies because artificial intelligence can give rise to efficiencies and cost cutting. We will talk about it in more detail if we probably if I would like to in the next video, because this is a whole topic of its own. But as a 23-year-old, I see the use of AI increasing dramatically, and for for no reason there is no reason to believe that this use will reduce. So there is all the reasons to believe that this will continue to skyrocket as it is going now. My thoughts, um, from two perspectives. The first perspective is how it impacts my own life, and the second perspective is my career, and the third perspective is adoption. So maybe three perspectives. First is my own life, second is my career, and third is adoption. And we will start from the third one, adoption. I was watching an interview recently of the CEO of Nothing. Nothing is this cool smartphone and tech brand. So the CEO of Nothing talked about the concept of a diffusion curve, which is quite interesting. And I have my laptop here, so I will be taking help from here. But in general, diffusion curve, if I will not look at it and just explain to you, and probably put a picture on the screen, it explains the rate of adoption of any new technology over time, how the rate of adoption evolves. And this S curve, or the diffusion curve, is starting at a slow pace and then goes higher and higher and then falls over time. So what this shows for me as a 23-year-old is to be on the early early rise of the diffusion curve as and when new tools in AI are released. So let's say when the chatbot, the first chatbot, let's say the most um, of the modern AI revolution, which is ChatGPT, came in November 2022. As a 23-year-old who was much younger then, so I was 19 then, 20 then. Um, I need to be on the early stage of this adoption curve. So the adoption curve works in a way that the first 2.5% of the population that gets into the picture is called as innovators, and then you are still an early adopter as you go through it. Uh, so it is always beneficial to be in the innovators to early adopters segment. Early majority, you are still early, but then this is when you are getting in the picture when everyone else is already talking about it. So it is interesting for me as a 23-year-old to be on the innovators to early adopters stage of any new technology happenings in the current world. If you're in early majority, it's still good, I think, but we should strive, or at least I would like to strive to be in the innovators to early adopters. We have OpenClaw, which was CloudBot previously, and we have so many new developments happening that if you are only catching up to it when it's already an early majority or late majority, you miss out on a lot of development, and your risk of obsolescence increases in my opinion. So I like to try to read more on anything that comes out. It might not be super useful to me, but it's just nice to have an understanding. For instance, just knowing that Claude can help you do a lot of great presentations, or Claude can do a lot of tasks such as personal financial planning, or sectoral research, or managing your calendar, booking meetings for you, handling your own computer, and you don't have to do it. This is important, and you should be knowing it instead of waiting for someone to tell you in the late majority of the cases. So that was the first thing. Maybe a bit more on the diffusion curve, as you know that there are five segments, and what is the psychology involved in these five segments. That is interesting to know. So the innovators, I was asking Claude about this, so I will put up the screenshot here. But the innovators who are in the first very, very early adopters, let's say, before the early adopters, these are mostly people who are technically curious, and this can even apply to investing. So for investors, it is very important to be in the innovator segment of the diffusion curve. So think about venture capital funds or angel investors, or very early friends and family investors who trust in a project. So these are the innovators bucket of people. For me, it might be difficult to be here unless I have a business idea within AI where I see a gap in the market. Then I could be an innovator. So those are the innovators. They have high risk appetite. They are technically curious. And then the early adopters are, it could be anyone. Yeah, it could be the investors, it could be me as a B2C, so I'm a customer for our businesses, and I can be an early adopter, sign up to wait lists of the new AI products, or experiment with new AI products, push the limits, prompt engineer, think what an AI new product can do for me. Of course, early majority is those who are not technically curious, or who were not technically curious, but they are now curious when the product is finally providing value to you. So those are the early majority. Late majority are usually the skeptical people. They despise AI, or they don't want to um, use AI in their work. They are reluctant to use it because they are afraid, or they're just not as tech savvy. So that's the late majority. As young people, you absolutely need to avoid, and you absolutely need to be aware that you cannot afford to be in the late majority, and you cannot afford to be skeptical. I actually ran an interesting survey on my Instagram account where I asked people, what do you think about the future of AI? Are you very positive? Are you positive but you think about the harms AI brings? And then, are you very skeptical? And 50% of the people are in the middle category, where they think about the harms but are still positive. And then there's 25 and 25 roughly on the top and bottom category, which is very positive or very skeptical, which is quite interesting. I personally find myself in also the middle bracket, where I'm positive about AI, positive to very positive, but I definitely find myself thinking a lot about its impact on my career, its impact on my life in general. So this was the first point about the diffusion curve that I think about a lot as a 23-year-old and the growth of AI. The second point, let's tackle life, how it will help me in my personal life. And so far, I have trained a lot of agents that help me in my studies, that help me in personal financial planning, that help me in studying a company, studying any sector, studying any other topic. I know my friends who have also built their bots to manage their calendars for them, their dietary preferences, their workout plans, their fitness routines, and many other things. So AI in general is going to help in this way, which is for sure. It's gonna ease things for us. But there is a flip side, because a coin has two sides, and the bad side of AI, which I feel, is uh, the death of critical thinking and problem solving. Because as I grow older, for me it's still uh, a position of awareness that I need to keep my cognitive functions active. I need to make sure that I understand the things I do, not just delegate them to AI. uh, but as we grow older and as the use of AI prevails, I have this fear that people will start delegating so much to AI that they will lose touch with their cognitive abilities. This is one of those mass experiments that happen to your brains when social media arrived. People, as you call it, brain rot. You have so much content that is actually messing with your circadian rhythms, that is messing with your sleep, your mood. Social media controls your mood in a lot of instances, what you see on social media. Similarly with AI, what you talk to AI and the sort of conversations you're having with AI and the time you spend with AI, but and not with your family, all of this is going to have an impact on you. So I feel it is quite important to draw a healthy line between your usage of AI in your life and also making sure that you keep your cognition and your cognitive abilities sharp and active, and then obviously have healthy time with family, have healthy conversations. Don't forget about things that make you human. There is a YouTube video on my channel with Andrew Stodds, a great professor and a great finance professional, and he told me that use RI and not AI, or he believes in RI and not AI. So what is RI? It is real intelligence. It stuck with me. And also I was watching a YouTube video where someone said, in the age of AI, stay human, which is very profound. We know that AI can do a lot of stuff for us, but uh, the connection that humans form cannot be replicated by a machine learning model or a large language model. So this is quite important, which I think about quite often as a 23-year-old. And finally, the career aspect. I feel artificial intelligence unlocks massive opportunities for business ideas, for career progress, for learning new skills, for experimenting with new ideas, coming up with ideas. In general, I think this is a great tool. However, this is one of those areas where I have the biggest skepticism. So compared to the previous two, where I talked about the diffusion curve and I talked about how AI will help me in my life, that is positive to very positive. However, the third area of career, I am positive to skeptic. And this is because a lot of job roles in the next 10 years will change. You will not have regular software developers or regular finance professionals or IB analysts. The nature of the job is changing, I feel. And what you are doing today is not necessarily what you will be doing tomorrow, and you will be supposed to do totally different tasks. So let's say if I'm working on a financial model today or a presentation today, perhaps in the nenext 1 or 2 years I will not be the one who will be working on it. Artificial intelligence or my agent would work on it. My job will be totally different, is to review the deck or to order the agent to make changes or make sure that everything done in the deck is right, etc., so on and so forth. Similarly, for software developers, I think the nature of the job is changing a bit. Instead of coding, you would be training the model to code, or you would be helping companies to implement or to maintain these models, which is going to be a category of its own, where a company would be created in a niche which will help enterprises implement these agents into their day-to-day working. Because large enterprises, if they don't know how and where they can use artificial intelligence to optimize, they would probably go to another company, which would be, let's say, an AI implementation or AI MSP or AI implementation agency, which will take contract, make money from the client, and they will be the one providing all those AI services and AI maintenance and AI training services. I think AI training is going to be a big opportunity. AI training companies where you know about AI and you train to others, because again, going back to the diffusion curve, there is going to be an early majority and late majority, and both of them needs training. I think the innovators and the early adopters, they don't need training per se, because they are on their own curious. So the early majority will need training, and that's where these companies will make a lot of money. Yeah, in general, careers are changing, so you need to, and that's why you need to be on the forefront of the new technology. You should be an innovator and early adopter of all these technologies. You will have a lot more business ideas. You can do a lot more side gigs. For example, I'm creating content. I'm sitting here and talking to you, but with AI, I can publish so many more reels or YouTube videos or TikTok videos or YouTube shorts just by having my avatar and who speaks exactly like how I'm speaking right now. And I don't know, maybe this is the AI avatar, and in the next 10 days I tell you, hey, this video was created by AI. Well, I assure you this is not. Yeah, I'm a human. uh, but there is opportunities in pockets, massive opportunities for careers and business opportunities as well. However, if you don't adapt to the changes, you will be rendered obsolete. So this applies to all forms of employees, yeah, whether you're in marketing, HR, software, IT, finance, etc. Of course, there is a big trend of blue collar workers that will be in demand. However, I have a different perspective to this. Currently, in 2026 of March, we are talking a lot about blue collar workers like electricians, plumbers, carpenters, etc. They will be protected from the disruption caused by AI. Yep, because of course AI is doing a lot of repetitive manual cognitive tasks easily without being tired. So the white collar workers are at risk. However, in the next 10 years, I think this is imminent that the rise of robots is going to happen. So the blue collar workers will also be at risk, but this is not 10 years, probably 10-20 years down the line, where my plumber will be a robot. I will probably order a robot. This is me thinking out loud, and this is what a 23-year-old thinks, that in the next 20 years, I can imagine a future where a plumber would be a robot, mhm, or my dance instructor is going to be a robot, or my carpenter is going to be a robot. And you see the examples of this in different countries, especially China is growing quite fast in this area where you have human robots. uh, and this is when you think of these scenarios where you are like, okay, then what are humans going to do in the world in the next 20 years? So some raw thoughts about how I think blue collar work is also going to be disrupted in the coming future. However, with all this said, the diffusion curve, the impact on my life, the impact on my career, or what I think about it, one big economic phenomena or economic concept that I want to share is the Jevons paradox, where it is said to occur when any new technological advancement or technological improvement in the world, which increases the efficiency of a resource's use, lead to a rise rather than a fall in total consumption of that resource. What it means is, according to the Jevons paradox, when we say that AI is going to disrupt a lot of software engineering jobs or a lot of finance and HR or marketing jobs because AI does it much faster, and we think that those people will be obsolete, of course, if you don't, in parentheses, of course, if you don't upskill yourself. The Jevons paradox says that increase in the efficiency because of technological progress of a resource will not cause it to fall, but will cause it to rise. This is seen across ages through the rise of the industrial revolution, when steam engines came, you thought you would need less of coal, but you actually the consumption of coal is increasing. Similarly, when the calculators came, you thought mathematicians would lose their jobs, but mathematicians still exist, calculators still exist, they go hand in hand. Similarly, when the internet came, a lot of people feared of this new technological revolution. um, I was not there. I was born in 2003, so I didn't know the early stages of the internet. Um, but similarly, we are now in another phase of technological revolution where we think a lot of resources will be reduced, but rather they might go hand in hand, and they will be coexisting. And as a 23-year-old reading history, or at least trying to understand basic concepts like the Jevons paradox, and if you I would recommend you to go on Wikipedia and read this article explaining how the Jevons paradox works across different industries and across the history of humankind. um, One can be sure that you are not going to be rendered obsolete forever if you keep upskilling yourself. And how we think or how we stress about AI today might just be normal life in the coming years. Yeah, there is so much more that can be discussed, but I want to keep it maybe short. It's already 25 minutes perhaps. So if you were interested for me to discuss more of my raw thoughts on AI and how I am actually using AI, because I have a lot of agents trained, I would be happy to talk more about it. I typically talk about finance and productivity on my channel, so please check out my channel. And give this video a like or share this video with someone. Tell me your thoughts about AI and how you think about it, whether you agree, disagree, or partially agree with some of my thoughts that I've shared in this video. And consider subscribing to this channel. It would help me. It will help me feel good about about doing this video. Thank you very much.